Shine with Kendell Lenice. Real talk for real people. Let's shine together.
Allow me to introduce myself. Thank you for shining with me first and foremost every week on Shine with Kendell Lenice. I am a certified transformational life coach, speaker, author, as well as a certified financial coach. Each week I hope to elevate you, educate you, and entertain you with our various guests and various topics here on Shine with Kendell Lenice. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to tell a friend. And now on to this week's show. Hey everybody, it's Kendell Lenice and welcome to Shine with me, Kendell Lenice. I'm so glad that you joined me this week and every week. Do me a favor and subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends. All right, subscribing to the podcast will allow you to be alerted when new episodes are uploaded. You get them every single week. It's not an interruption in your life or on your phone if you get alerted. It's just a soft, gentle alert to let you know, hey, Kendell has more content up there for you on this podcast. If you're listening from Apple Podcast or Spotify or iHeartRadio or Spreaker or wherever, don't forget to subscribe and share. Also comment and let me know some of the shows you might want to see. You can always email me at Kendell Lenice, KendellLenice @gmail.com and let me know what type of subjects you want me to speak on this here podcast. If this is your first time listening to Shine with Kendell Lenice, thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know how you found us, but I'm glad you did. Tell all your friends and family about Shine with Kendell Lenice. To all my loyal listeners, thank you for continuously coming back to be fed. My purpose is to educate, elevate, and entertain with this podcast. I am a certified transformational life coach, so I have real conversations with you about life because I want you to be better. I want you to be educated. I want you to be elevated. And of course, with me, you're going to get entertained because I'm just not like, so let me tell you about this. I'm silly. You know, I like to say that I'm fun. At the same time, it's about balance, right, y'all? But before we get started, as always, I'm going to start with this week's life note. All right, it's time for this week's life note. Okay, so this week's life note is people only get mad and defensive about certain topics when they know they are guilty. Ooh. That's about being defensive. I'm going to read another life note. You get a twofer today. Defensiveness often reveals an area of our lives where we're in denial. That's this week's life note, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Why are you so defensive is the title of this episode, and also being self-aware. So we're going to talk about both of those things today. So if you are defensive yourself, or you're with a spouse or a family member or a friend or a parent who is always defensive and you don't know why, or that defensive person is you, we're going to talk about it today. So I want you to tune in, grab your popcorn, grab your open and listening ears, and join me for this show. We're going to take a quick break from our sponsor, and we'll be right back and go right into the show. Today's show is sponsored by 617 Lip Love, Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm by K. Lenice. Get yours today at LeniceBoutique.com. This product is for men and women, and its signature flavor, eucalyptus mint. It's the bomb, y'all. Get it today at LeniceBoutique.com. Protect your lips, heal your lips at all costs. 617 Lip Love Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm. Get yours today at LeniceBoutique.com. Support Black businesses. Support women-owned businesses. LeniceBoutique.com. All right. Thank you so much. Don't forget to go to LeniceBoutique.com to get your 617 organic lips, your organic lip balms by moi, K. Lenice. Also, get your positive teas over there. Go over there and wear positivity on your chest. Celebrate life. Your soar shirts, got all the, just go look at all of them and get yours. It's never too late to remix your life. It's over there, my quote, and a whole lot more. So go over there to LeniceBoutique.com. Get your little head wraps, get your positive bracelets, get your man the bow tie and the cuff links and all of that. So check out LeniceBoutique.com. All right. So people react, I should say, defensively because they anticipate or perceive a threat in their environment. Not usually because they're just wanting to be difficult. Unfortunately, defensive behavior creates reciprocal cycle. Defensive behavior can be complex and murky. It's so very true because so many people, okay, let's just talk. Do you know anybody in your life who is defensive? Or are you that defensive person? If the answer is yes to both, then you need to listen to this show. A lot of people are defensive because that's their protection. That's their, like it says, they feel guilty or they feel attacked, and it doesn't mean that you're attacking them. It just means they feel that way because they know they're going to have to face the fire. They're going to have to put their money where their mouth is. They're going to have to show up and perform. They're going to have to, you may disagree with them. And sometimes defensiveness can be a serious problem. Looking on Psychology Today, they're talking about the issues and the problems, as we all know, if we're defensive or interact with defensive people. Defensiveness is also, y'all, so frustrating. You can't even get through a conversation with someone who is uber defensive because if you say, hey, why did you leave that towel on the floor? And they say, well, you always leave the towel on the floor. Why you always leave the towel on the floor? How can you even get through a 5-minute conversation? Instead of saying, you know what, my bad, let me pick that up. People don't do that. Defensive people have to go back and forth with you. And quite frankly, it's exhausting. I've been in that ring with defensive people and doggone it, it's exhausting. Anybody that knows that knows it's exhausting. You may feel this when you're trying to make a point and it seems like the person isn't really listening to you. Maybe they're too busy trying to explain, trying to clarify, trying to make excuses, trying to say this caused it, that caused it, or pointing out, again, something you do wrong. This kind of defensiveness, according to Psychology Today, is a bad habit, they say. It needs to change, and luckily there are simple ways to do that. So the first thing, as a life coach, when I'm talking to someone, is to identify the issue. But in order to identify the issue, you got to be self-aware. If you're not self-aware, which we'll talk about in the second half of the show, if you're not self-aware, then no matter what somebody is telling you, you just clueless. You just walking around with a blindfold, can't see, can't hear, can't think. The blindfold is stopping you from even hearing because so many people cannot hear because they're too busy preparing their speech to be defensive. Hello, somebody. I'm talking to somebody right now, and that somebody could be you, or that somebody could be sitting right next to you, but I'm talking the truth. All right, so defensiveness is often a response to criticism, as we know. The worst case scenario would be criticism that led to their defensiveness, or if they feel that they're being criticized, even if they're not. It happens very easily, and defensive behavior can immediately escalate into an argument or to someone closing down, stonewalling you, acting like you're not speaking. That can happen because that's the way they lash out. That's the way that they feel when they're being defensive. So Psychology Today says to nip it in the bud. If you are in a relationship, let's just say, with someone who is defensive, make sure that you're not causing it to be critical. So how do people do that? So they say when you need to talk out a problem, make a soft start. Don't blow them out of the water to get their attention. Don't initiate the conversation with abrupt, loud, angry remarks. Instead, use a soft tone. Say that you want to talk and ask, when will be a good time to talk? Get their consent and make an appointment and wait until then. Wait until then. So this goes for all the people that got to say it when they got to say it. I've been that person where, look, I'm going to tell you, I need to tell you what's on my mind right now, but there is true a time and a place to do it, and how you approach somebody does make the difference in the world. That's so important. To make the difference in the world. That makes all the difference in the world, I should say. To watch what you say and how you say it, because some people, if they're defensive, right, and you say something a certain way, they're automatically not even going to hear what you're saying, and then you waste a good thought, or you waste a good, critique, or you waste a good, let me tell you something, because if your tone is wrong, they ain't heard nothing you said anyway. They're already waiting to be defensive, got their paws rolled up. You ever see the meme going around where Arthur, all the people who know the Arthur, that armadillo cartoon, and he's holding his fist down like, ooh, it's a meme going around, but that's what they're doing. They're waiting to see. Second, figure out how to turn the criticism into a request. I love that. That's what Psychology Today says. Criticisms are about the past. Requests are about the future. Criticisms are about negatives. Requests are about positives. Shift from a past negative to a future positive. I love that, Psychology Today. Criticisms, I'm going to read it again, are about negatives. Requests are about positive. Shifts from past negative to future positives. So that's really key. And I'm glad that Psychology Today said that. Because what you're really doing is you're still being critical, or you're still telling somebody how you feel, but you're flipping that thing into something positive, and they won't know what hit them. They're not going to even have prepared to be defensive, because you already got, the positive ready, locked and loaded. All right, they give an example. So you never lock the door. So instead of the criticism, you never lock the door, you could request for the next week, would you be sure to lock the door every day? I want y'all to try that. Would you be sure to lock the door every day? Not like, you don't never lock the door. All the time you don't lock the door, somebody can come in here. Or say, would you please lock the door? Will you pass the Grey Poupon? But seriously, it's all about in the way that you ask. You'll figure it out, what they can do going forward to help. But you want to address the solution, not the problem. That's really the key. When you make a request, people are much less defensive, because they like, okay, I'm in charge of the door. Let me go on and make sure that door is locked, because I want that woman to feel safe. I want my children to feel safe. Let me go do it and do my due diligence to make sure we're locked in this house. Opposed to, I'll never lock the door. And then the person goes over like, oh, let me lock this door because I don't want to hear his mouth. I don't want to hear her mouth. Let me lock. And that causes dissension. It really does, y'all. So it's so important to do that. Let's see what else psychology said, because I'm giving you my view, and I'm taking little nuggets to share with you from what they say. So this is an example that they gave to a married couple. So let me just read this. Let me make sure I got it all here. So the cure of defensiveness is to find some part of a request or criticism that you can honestly take some responsibility for and talk about it first. That's if you have open communication. That's if you're willing to talk, y'all. You might not agree with all of it, but find some of the part and acknowledge it in good faith. As an example, listen to this. So if you're married people out there, if my wife says you're working too many hours like you always do, I shouldn't respond, well, I wouldn't have to work so late if you do more. Ooh, 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 ooh. I'm just pause on that. That sounds like a real argument on Psychology Today. And then they say you should say or respond, that's true, honey. I have been working late. Now, I'm not sure if it's always going to go down like that, but you got to be conscious, because they said if your wife says you're working too many hours like you always do, and he says, well, I wouldn't have to work so many hours if you do more. Yeah, that's heated right there. But instead say, that's true, honey. I have been working late. They're saying basically acknowledge the action and not try to resist the action. That's basically what they're saying, because the first response is going to lead into a fight, and it's going to be defensive, and it's going to be turned around. Well, you do this, you do that, and nobody's going to acknowledge the fact that this person is working late, because it's going to turn into the shoes in the middle of the floor that have nothing to do with that argument. And that's what happens all the time. People start arguing about things that aren't even on the plate. It's like you talking about you don't like tofu, right? But you got some beans on your plate, you got some rice, you got some vegetables, you have some fruit, you just have whatever on your plate. But tofu ain't something you got on your plate. But now you're fighting about the tofu you had last week on the plate, and you know you don't like the tofu, and you put it on my plate anyway. You're fighting about that. You're not even fighting about somebody working late, and that's what happens with defensive people. It's almost like, who remembers Pee Wee Herman when he used to say, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? So you're not even acknowledging what's really happening. You're just arguing about simple crap. And that's really what you're doing. You got to own it first. You got to know that that you're doing it. And again, the second part of the show, we're going to talk about self-awareness. So are you too defensive for your own good? I want to give you all a quiz. Wait a minute, the audio may change just a little bit. Give me 1 second. Okay. As we are doing everything from home, give me 1 second. Your foot ever fall asleep when you're doing something and you're trying not to move, but you're still doing it anyway? My foot just fell asleep, so I had to reposition myself. This is live, and I'm a real person, so sorry, y'all. All right, let's continue. So, Psychology Today has a question. Signs. Are you too defensive for your own good? 6 signs you are. So, this is for all the people who aren't aware of themselves, i.e., you ain't self-aware. I'm going to try to make you be self-aware, just to look at yourself differently. And this doesn't mean young people aren't self-aware, older people ain't self-aware. This comes in all age, shades, and colors for folks who are not self-aware. So, 6 signs. See if this is you. You're always on the lookout for signs of exclusion. So this is an example that they gave. One woman wrote saying that I pay attention in order of invitations. I pay attention to the order of invitations. Okay. Even at the office or with my friends. Am I invited in the first wave, the second wave, or the last wave? My best friend convinced me to go to therapy after I freaked out because I wasn't invited first to her bridal shower. She withered me by saying, I thought you'd know you were invited. Frankly, it hadn't even occurred to me. All right. So first, let me dissect the scenario. So first off, the best friend shouldn't have convinced her to go to therapy because of that. People have outbursts all the time. Sometimes they're isolated. Now, the only way that I would suggest that is if things like this happen with this girl all the time. But the best friend saying you need to go to therapy because you freaked out because you weren't invited. Yeah, you were doing the most. It was a little extra. If it was an isolated thing, then maybe not. Now, if this is something that occurs all the time, then maybe, look into therapy or life coaching or something to, try to change the behavior. So I'm going to read the scenario again, just in case you missed it. I pay attention to the order of invitations, even at my office or with my friends. Am I invited in the first wave, the second, or last? My best friend convinced me to go to therapy after I freaked out because I wasn't invited first to her bridal shower. She withered me by saying, I thought you'd know you were invited. Frankly, that hadn't even crossed my mind. So this is the thing. Some people, it doesn't cross their mind. They don't have a clue what they're doing and what they're doing is affecting you. But who wants to be invited last to the baby shower? Who wants to be a second thought? A lot of people feel this way. Nobody wants to be, considered last. It's just like when you're standing there. I know back in my day, they used to have to pick people to be on the volleyball team or the basketball team. I always used to feel bad for that last person chosen. Like they ain't have no choice. Let me go on and invite, Hildegard on to the team because she's just standing there and let me, who wants that? That's probably not a good feeling. I know that's not a good feeling, especially if this is your best friend. You would think the best friend would say, hey, my bridal shower, or you might be planning it. So for the best friend to say it hadn't occurred to her, that's really, something too when I look at this. But it's not about dissecting the person who is defensive, because everybody has a reason why they're defensive. It's handling it better. How can you handle it better? And then she says that she freaked out. What is freaked out? Did she cuss everybody out? Did she throw things off the table? Did she, just yelled in a corner and scream? Like, freaked out is different from everyone else. But if she was just unhappy, it was like, how could you, and cry? That's no reason for therapy. Her feelings were probably hurt. So now psychology today goes on to say, that sounds weird, but it's really if you're unconscious about the hunt for rejection. So hunt for rejection, that's when people hunt for rejection. They're like, okay, this is probably rejection in this. And that does, lead to a deeper rooted issue. All right. So Psychology Today says, imagine yourself in the following scenarios and think about how you react. So I'm going to read them off to you and just, think about how you would react. I'll tell you how I will react too. And I haven't pre-read these questions, so we're listening together. You're somewhere you don't feel comfortable and you hear laughter. Do you think it's about you? You're somewhere where you don't feel comfortable and you hear laughter. Do you think it's about you? I can answer first. No, I wouldn't think it's about me. They could have been laughing at a private joke before I got there. If they've never seen me before, they don't know. Definitely not just going to automatically think it's about me. Would you? Think about it. All right, the next scenario is your friend is going somewhere with a mutual friend and you haven't been invited. Do you immediately feel rejected or defensive, or do you just deal with it? Or if it bothers you, ask your friend why you didn't invite me. I felt that way before. I ain't even gonna lie. I felt slighted before. So your friend is going somewhere with a mutual friend of both of yours. I know it's happened to me before. I introduce people, and you know how you bring people together. And this was back in the day. This was when I was, I think, in college. Back in the day, like, I would tell you, I was probably like 18 or 19. This is not the only time it's happened, but I just remember that I introduced two of my friends who didn't know each other, right? Then I moved away and they were so tight. And I was kind of jealous a little bit. I'm like, dang, even when I was there, it's like, how do you invite that person and not me? You do feel kind of slighted, like, dang, so I've definitely felt that before, for sure. Have you? Where you feel like, or if your friend comes into your town, right? and they have another friend in your town, and they come through your town and you see them on Facebook like, hey, I was in your town. You like, dang, you didn't even call me. Y'all went out. Y'all got something to eat. Y'all didn't call me. You do feel slighted, but ain't nobody gonna, go off and cuss nobody out. Sometimes it's a silent slight. So you want to think about that, but you got to make sure, again, how you handle things. You can't immediately feel rejected and defensive. You got to say, okay, well, maybe they wanted their quality time together. Or maybe, she thought I was busy because I posted something that I was busy or something like that. You can't just go to defensive mode or rejection. You have to look at the big picture, and that's really being mature about the situation. You got to put your big girl panties on and your big boy boxers on and really look at the situation. Yeah, initially you might feel rejected, but if you act off of that rejection or that defensiveness, that can cause an issue or problem with your friends or family members. So it's about learning to control yourself and being self-aware and learning and understanding yourself and your triggers. Next scenario, let's see. You've called and left someone 2 messages and he hasn't responded. Do you assume the worst and start worrying about what you've done to anger or offend that person? No, I don't. Unless I know that I angered or offended someone and they're not calling me back because I acted a fool or something like that, then I wouldn't expect nobody to answer my call or my text if I acted a fool. But this scenario, if you call and left a message, some people, if you don't text them right back or you don't call them right back, they immediately just start a whole story in their head that ain't got nothing to do with you. Y'all know people like that? Like, yeah, you made this whole story. It's like, what? I just had my phone on the charger. I just went to the bathroom. I didn't see you call. But they got a whole thing. I've been there with somebody. I didn't call somebody back or text back, and they had a whole story. Like, oh, well, you didn't call me back because of this. I'm like, nah, my phone was just on the charger. So you have, people are very defensive. And again, people's behaviors are sometimes not their own. They're their experiences, and they haven't learned to handle how they are. They haven't learned how to manage their feelings, their emotions, and really recognize that they're defensive and want to do something about it. All right, so those are some questions for you. So let me see something else. Let's see if they have another one. Okay, listen to this. You don't entirely trust your own feelings and thoughts, but you act on them anyway. This isn't unusual, but it's also the worst possible place to be, unsure of yourself as well as the responses, but forging ahead nonetheless. People whose needs weren't met as children tend to have emotional intelligence issues, being flooded by negativity, being unable to self-calm, having difficulties labeling what they're feeling, and that adds to their emotional volatility. So that's emotional intelligence, y'all, is a big one. Being able to rein in your emotions and your feelings and really think with a clear head. I understand everyone gets emotional, everyone gets stuck in their feelings or in their feelings, but it's about learning how to release them in a constructive way. And that's where people find difficulties, and learning how to self-calm. I'm a meditation practitioner. Meditation is a great way to self-calm, talking to yourself, praying, reading positivity. Those are ways, listening to music, listening to sounds, listening to the ocean or the rain or the water. Those are ways that you can self-calm and get yourself together before you just pop off. It's about really finding what your triggers are and learning how to rein them in. And the triggers is if somebody calls me stupid. I remember years ago I was talking to this guy and I was like, you stupid, just laughing like stupid, like silly stupid. You know how you be like, you so stupid, because you're goofy. He was like, I'm not stupid. I am not stupid. What are you, blah, blah, blah. And he went ballistic on me. only later to find out that his mom used to call him stupid, and stupid was a trigger word for him. Now, can you guys relate to that? Somebody out there might feel that and understand that. So it made sense. When he went off on me and he later, told me that, or I later found that out, I totally understood and I didn't take it personally. And sometimes you can't take it personally, but you can remove, not in that case, but in other cases, you can remove yourself from people if that defensive behavior is getting on you, if that arguing continues to happen. But you never feel entirely safe. Psychology Today says, but you always feel defensive. And that's a lot of people. And it also, to me, who you have around you, because your defensiveness is fed by a stream of negative thoughts, right? So you may feel defending yourself empowers you in some type of way, or you feel like you're worthy or you're standing up for yourself if you are defensive, like, wait a minute, nobody's going to walk all over me. Nobody's going to do this. So I'm going to get them first. You leave the towel on the floor too. Like you're standing up for yourself. You're finally finding your voice. And that happens with a lot of people who feel like they've been silenced by their parents, by their spouses, by whomever. That's maybe why they're defensive. All right. So that was just a little to talk about. I mean, this is a 45-minute podcast. If you want me to do a part 2, definitely let me know. But I want to shift gears to being self-aware. But I will say let me just wrap this up in a bow quickly, how you talk to someone who is defensive. Because you might want. Again, I just want to say, Psychology Today says avoid using blame language. Start on a positive note. Start with some vulnerability and responsibility. Focus on your feelings. Ask meaningful questions. Don't lose your temper. That is a way to deal with someone who is defensive. And also, again, that defensive person can be you. And it's not about badgering you. It's about, helping you grow, because that's really, really, really what's important. Just you recognizing and understanding yourself as I lead into self-awareness. So self-awareness is the conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires, right? So what happens when you're self-aware? Self-awareness is important because you get a better understanding of who you are and what you do and what your triggers are and your experiences. And when you are empowered by the knowledge of who you are, you build on your strengths and you become one with who you are. So being self-aware is an enlightened space, y'all. It helps you improve what's great in you. The benefits are just being conscious and aware of who you are. That way you know what kind of people to let in your space, what kind of people, not to let in your space, what kind of personalities will make you, not make you, because nobody can make you, which you feel, defensive or rejected or less empowered. You'll know who you can invite into your world, because we invite people into our spaces. So we can't get mad when they're there because we invite them in. So you have to understand that being self-aware is a positive thing. In philosophy of self-awareness is the experience of one's own personality and individuality. And you got to get there. And it's so important to get there, to have that even in the workplace. You know what you can be around, what you can't be around. And once you get to that place of understanding of self, nobody can tell you who you are. And nobody can tell you what you need to do. You already know what you need to do. And then you're able to go on and do that. So I just want to help you become self-aware. So I'm going to take just a quick break, a word from our sponsor, and then we're going to talk about how you can be more self-aware. Today's show is sponsored by 617 Lip Love, organic lip moisturizer Balm by Lenice. Get yours today at leniceboutique.com, and its signature flavor, eucalyptus mint, for all of the amazing healing agents. Protect and heal your lips with 617 Lip Love for men and women. Order yours today at leniceboutique.com. It goes on smoothly and it smells great, but most of all, it's the bomb. Get your 617 Lip Love Organic Lip Moisturizer Balm at leniceboutique.com. And now, back to the show. All right, I am back. Don't forget to go to leniceboutique.com. All right, so I had a couple of articles. I have my list and I also have an article. But let me just give you some ways to improve your self-awareness. Keeping a journal is a great way to improve it. So you can see, daily, like what made you mad, what made you upset, how you felt when you were happy, how you feel when you're sad, when you're exhausted, do you pop off, when you're tired, or when you're, this or that, how do you respond? That's a good way so you can look and really study yourself. Look at yourself objectively, meaning look at yourself as you think others may look at you, right? Like, okay, try to step outside of yourself to see who you really are. And also, I'm big on this. Ask friends, hey, what do you think about me? Do I be wilding sometime? How do I act? Like, what do you think about me? What's your view about me? Not that you're going to care and change based off what someone says, but that kind of gives you an outside view. I have done that throughout my life. Like, keep it real, because my friends know I keep it 100. I tell the truth. I don't judge. And I am very honest and very blunt. And they respect and love that about me. And they've told me that. So how can I be that for people and no one can be that for me? Like, I can't be that way. Somebody got to give it to me straight, no chaser. And I like honesty. Honesty sometimes might hurt and bruise your ego, but you need it in order to grow. All right, so practice meditation. The practice of meditation is also good. Just getting in tune with you, quieting the noise of the outside and really getting in touch with who you are. I think that that's so very important, and it gives you to meditate your mind, quiet it down. Also, you want to think about your values. Who are you? What are your morals? What are your values? What do you believe in? What do you stand for? Do I stand for anything? Am I shallow? You want to think about those type of things. Pay attention to also what bothers you. Like, what annoys you? You know how you be like, this annoys me, that annoys me. People who do this annoy me, certain things. You have to find out who you are. Like, what is annoying you? What is bothering you? We all have annoyances, and sometimes we all have annoying people around you. But you can decide whether you be annoyed or whether you sit there and be annoyed, or take a walk outside, or put on your headphones, or go somewhere and meditate or do something. But, that's not saying you can't be annoyed. Because as long as you're on this earth, somebody is going to annoy you, but it's how you respond. That's the thing. It doesn't mean all of these things are never going to happen to you when you become self-aware and less defensive. It's about how you respond. And we all fall down, but you got to learn and do better. And that's what growth is. It's not about perfection, y'all. It's about progress. So look for patterns that you do and things, how you perceive and how you explain things you do to yourself, and just really thinking about it in that way. And habits, your habits are great ways to really see who you are. But the benefits that you can get from self-awareness are amazing. And I was looking at some of the benefits by this website is I want to give credit. I'm not sure. It's Nicole. But better relationships. You can have better relationships when you're self-aware. It's difficult to ask for what you want and what you need when you're not very clear on yourself. So when you understand who you are, you're able to say and to improve your relationship, saying, this is what I want, this is what I need. And also it improves your mood. You won't be so attitudinal or sad or upset. It can improve your mood. Our moods, tend to fluctuate depending on who's in our lives and what happens. When we improve our self-awareness, the relationships between thoughts and behaviors and emotions becomes easier to regulate our feelings and moods. I love that. And it also gives you a clearer thinking, because sometimes when you're in your feelings, you might make poor decisions. You might not even think, because you don't even really know yourself and what you like and what you don't like whether you get a wife, a husband, a friend, sort of friendship, with somebody, and you don't really know yourself. How do you know what kind of energy you want invited into your life? Because you invite people into your life. And, if you know that you're a procrastinator, right? Let's just say. Or if you don't know you're a procrastinator, you wonder why you can't finish school, why you can't finish this test, why you can't finish this, why you can't finish this. And you totally clueless about you being a procrastinator because you don't like labels. Call a thing like Iyanla says. I'm a procrastinator. I don't do this. I don't do that. And I work with procrastinators and life coach, because that's one thing I'm not a procrastinator. I gets it done. And I help people gets it done. And yes, I said gets it done. Because I do, really, because there's so many people that come to me as a life coach and I'm procrastinating. I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to write this book for 14 years. I'm like, huh? I write a book in months. You can do it. Stop procrastinating. Let me show you how to do it. But those are people that are unaware of their self. I don't know why it's taking so long. Because you're a procrastinator. Because you have all of this baggage, because you're dealing with maybe depression, you're dealing with defensiveness, you have this negative energy in your life. So how can you do anything when you're bogged down by other people's problems or whatever? I get in it because so many people are unaware. And as a life coach, I help people become aware of themselves just through my honest view and opinion of what they share. But how to increase your self-awareness is pay attention again to what bothers you. Meditate your mind, fly on high frequencies, trying to be positive, try to be happy, try to be upbeat, try to be, your best self, putting your best foot forward, and give yourself a break. I want to end with that. Give yourself a break. I gave you a lot of information today, and it's not to beat yourself up. It's to be better, wiser, and more fulfilled. Like my book says, growth, glow, and grace. That's my ebook on Amazon. And it's a better life. I'm trying to remember that. I'm talking so much. A guide to being better, wiser, and more fulfilled. So y'all can get that on Amazon.com by Kendell Lenice. But the podcast is really to help you, to enlighten you, to uplift you, educate, elevate, and entertain. That's what I do for you. So hopefully I did this today on this particular show. I did that for you. I would like to think that I did. Don't forget to subscribe and comment and tell me what else you want me to talk about on this podcast, Shine with Kendell Lenice. Email me at KendellLenice@gmail.com. Also, for more information about me, you can go to livingtruelivingyou.com or ladymotivator.com. But don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Kendell Lenice, Facebook, Kendell Lenice, YouTube, Kendell Lenice, where else? IG at k.lenice, and Twitter, k.lenice. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. God bless. Peace.